You mentioned something very important when you started this conversation. You said you are a woman.
Yeah.
Tony Berry saying hi. You mentioned that you are most importantly a woman. So I wanted to ask you, what are the important issues that you hold close to your heart that you think are hampering women from progressing in today's society?
I right now, would I really say yes? Sometimes, in specific industries, there's a misrepresentation of women, but I would say women are rising up. Women are rising up, and if you look globally, women are really taking the forefront because we're rising up to take up positions that we had no opportunity to handle in the past.
Mm,
Before, when you go, if you had to go into, I mean, a managerial um, board, you would find out that you would find one woman. But now you're able to find women in such circles. So for women, beyond the social, I mean, perspective where you talk about sexual harassment and all, if we're just speaking about business wise, then representation of women in industries, I would say women have risen up. We're coming to own ourselves. We're coming to own our achievements. We're coming to own that we're not meant to take the back burner. We're meant to be seen and heard. So I feel women are, I mean, speaking up. Women are saying, yes, we own this table. Gone were the days when you had to place me at the corner or shield me in a cocoon. I need to be a butterfly and I have to really show forth my colors. So I would say women are really standing up in that regard. But when we now have to speak about the social problems where it comes, because you know in recent months with here in Nigeria it's been rape because sexual molestation, it's really, really bad. I mean, we've had cases where, I mean, a girl gets raped and the next thing you kill the person. Why on earth would you want to do that? And why would you even think of sleeping with a girl if she has said no? I mean,
mm,
it doesn't play right. And I know it's also something in South Africa you battle with, because I
mm.
remember when I was in South Africa last year. I mean, someone went out jogging and they raped her and they killed her in Cape Town. No, in Joburg.
Mm.
I know it got a lot of women scared. Even I'm sure it's still happening now. People are scared to like step out to do things. So here, when we talk about the social problems, rape is one of those things. What other thing in when salary? Now we're in the same position, and you feel you have to pay a man more than a female. No, is the work being done? Yes. Are deliverables been met?
Mm.
Yes. So why should a man get paid higher than a woman? It shouldn't be so. There should be that right of equal pay, that equality. If we're going to deliver the same things, then we need to be paid the same thing. Yes, people would say
Mm.
negotiation, but there are times when beyond negotiation, there is a standard within an organization that you have to follow through. You have to follow through. You don't have to shut a woman up. And you know, here it's, oh, but you're a woman. I'm a woman, but I'm a human being first.
Mm.
Because when it comes to doing work, you don't
I
first say,
want to
oh,
touch
she's a woman.
mm, I want to touch on that word that you said, that sentence, but you are a woman, because I think it was on Monday. I actually spent the entire afternoon watching Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's videos on YouTube.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's actually a video that I watched, the We Should Be Feminist TED Talk with my mother. And she was highlighting some of the issues she faces when she's back home in Nigeria. Do you also face the same issues where, I don't want to say you're oppressed, but it's like your word isn't being taken seriously because you are a woman?
Okay, yes, we face that here. So you can get, so I'm gonna do, I mean, say it in different ways. That you get into a bus and you pay, you want to sit maybe in the front seats with the driver, and they say, oh, you're a woman, you don't have to be seated there. And the next question is, why can't I sit in front? What changes that seat from it being occupied by a man alone? It shouldn't be. I have the right. If I've paid my fare, I should be able to sit in a bus anywhere I choose to. But and you know, the thing is not just only from the male folks. Even women would say, ah, but you're a woman, just come back, and you're wondering, no, we all have a part to play, and you can't keep shutting us up. Yes, in the past, women would have to like hide, but right now, no, it's gone. No way, you can't. So that's the boss. You get to the office, oh, why you were meant to do this? Okay, in terms of pregnancy, oh, but you'll get pregnant, so that's why we can't give you this role. Why? What changed? What says that even pregnant, I'm not able to deliver? I'm able to still deliver my task. The only time you should question my gender is when I'm not able to deliver those tasks that you've placed on my desk. So it cuts across from the social to the professional. We need to start to break the divide where first you're human, first you're a being. Now set the record straight. Are these things meant to be done? Yes. Are you able to deliver? Put the roles. I should choose if I want to go ahead or not. But don't shut me down stating that I'm a woman, so I do not have a place on the table. And those are situations we're fighting so hard for. We're fighting so hard to say that it's not about the gender, it's about what has to be done. Can we deliver? If we can deliver, then give it to us to run. Nothing changes the fact that we wouldn't be able to do way better off than men. And I dare to say that women are really taking top positions. Check records. Women are taking top positions and men are like retrogressing. Because a woman has to work double and triple times more what a man would have to do. And I feel that's what has really given women an edge right now, because every time we have to prove a point, we always have to prove a point, and it shouldn't be. We can't keep proving points saying because I'm a woman. Give us equal rights to do what we have to do. And then if a woman doesn't deliver, chastise the person. And if a man doesn't, chastise the person. Don't look at it as, oh, because he's a man, ego. Everyone has got ego. Emotions are not, gender-based. Emotions were never gender-based and will never be gender-based. Thank you.
So I like I like your passion. I really, really like your passion. I feel like we could have Chimamanda and you on a table and you guys could just unpack this for us. So you mentioned that in some situations you find that other women would say back down because you are a woman. So I wanted to ask you, do you find that the younger generation of women in Nigeria are fighting for equal rights and are becoming feminists, and the older women feel like this is unnecessary, this is how society is, and it shouldn't be changed?
I don't think a vast number of people are feminists, because for me, I would never, I wouldn't say I'm feminist, but I know there's something I can't stand: injustice, regardless of the gender. So if I find a man being talked down at, I want to stand up for him. If I see a woman being oppressed, I want to stand up for her. So I always say, what is feminism in the whole thing? It doesn't mean that you're superior. It doesn't mean that your gender is superior. First and foremost, let's come to the drawing board as humans. Let's act as humans. So that's where I come from. I don't think I would say I'm a feminist, but you can't talk down a woman in my presence, especially when you feel you want to, what's the word? You feel you can oppress her because you call her the weaker vessel. She isn't a weaker vessel. That she's quiet doesn't make her weak. Or the fact that she tries to be silent doesn't make her weak. She might just be putting that as a form of respect. And for me, mutual respect is key. So if I have to respect you as a man or even as a fellow woman, I also believe that I beget that respect. So for females right now, even the younger generation, we're just saying equality. Gender isn't the question. Is treat us as humans first. Let's be humans. The moment we can break that divide, the better for us. Because the more we keep saying, oh, gender, gender, it's the same way bring it down. You say in America, racism. Here in Nigeria, we speak about ethnic wars. Oh, it's Yoruba. Oh, it's going to be this. Oh, it's Igbo. It's just like I'm Urobo. And people would say Urobo Wayo. And what does Wayo mean? Oh, a fraudster. Do you understand? And now that might just be a narrative from one person and just an outlier. Because you met an Urobo person who, swindled you, doesn't make other Urobos swindlers. But that's where the problem is. So we characterize people based on ethnicity. And we have to start to break that. So when we're throwing stones to the Americans, saying, oh, they're racist, they're, bringing down blacks, let's come back even into our own here in Nigeria. Why would you feel a Yoruba man doesn't merit that position, or an Igbo man doesn't merit that position, or a Hausa man doesn't merit that position? We need to start to break all this narratives. We have to start to break all these tables, stating, first, let's come to the table as just no gender. We're just two different individuals, but we're at this table. What are you giving to us to do? And can we deliver? Even in the Bible that I believe in, most times it's rare for you to even see woman, woman, woman. The Bible really, what's the word? Referred to both sexes as man, man, man. There were just specific chapters where you hear man, women, children. But majority of things, let us make man in his own image. It wasn't said, let us make man and woman in his own image. But when he was making man, he knew that a woman would be created. So man was standing for what? What gender? So
the issues that you've spoken about and highlighted that you're experiencing right now and are currently happening in your country, I could say are the same issues that we face here in South Africa. The rape issue that you've spoken about, I know a lot of women that I've spoken to are not safe to run alone now. In fact, the live that I had yesterday, Kim was telling me she's not sure if she should run with her phone or she shouldn't run with her phone because it's a double-edged sword. If she doesn't run with her phone and something happens to her, she can't contact anybody. But also if she does run with her phone, it's a risk. And I just find it interesting that through these conversations, the same issues affect women in all of these countries that I've been having conversations with. So how can men help break down these issues that are happening?
Sensitivity. Get sensitive, like reading a book, saying yes to yourself. And the author said something. Sometimes we have to get into ourselves, put ourselves in our shoes, understanding the problems. Because, most times we try to divide the problem and who we are. And it becomes, then we start to do the blame game. We want to push the blame to the next person. Why don't we bring that into ourselves and say, what are the issues? How do I solve it? So as a man, like rape is never the victim's fault, it's the perpetrator. Because as a woman, if I come to your house, I'm there because you are a friend, and I'm there because I trust you enough to listen to my words. But when you decide to turn the tables, it's no longer my fault, but the other person's fault. So the perpetrator is always the problem. So for men, I just feel they need to start to understand that even if you've been, trained in a certain way, you can unlearn some things. It's said, man up. When a woman says no, she means yes. Words spoken should be respected. So I feel men should start to respect the words of women, regardless of whether the person is saying yes, no, yes, no. Once there is a problem with the answer, then step back. But respect individuals. What you know you can't met on yourself, why met it on the other person? And that's where I want men to come to. Is if you know you can't watch your mother, your sister, a friend that you hold dear to you get raped in your presence, then why should you do it? Then I bring it back to a more, intense way of, can you watch yourself as a man, another man taking advantage of you at your age? Men will say, hey, no, because they're homophobic. If you can't watch a man sleep with you, then why would you want to do that to a woman? So as a man, things you know you would never met on yourself, and you would never watch another person do to your mother, a sister, a friend you hold there, a relative, your niece, then don't do it to the next person. People would say it's hard to walk away, but see, strength and courage sometimes is just taking a step forward. And that's it.
You mentioned the gender pay parity as one of the issues that's affecting women in Nigeria and in society in general. And I know that's one of the big factors that affect women in sports. I know it's a factor here in South Africa as well. What are the other issues that you think are affecting women in sports?
I'll bring it back to pay. So I'm going to look at, I know some months ago, the US team, the female team, had a legal battle and had a very tough war with the American government, stating they've represented the country different times, and either if they don't win, they take the country all the way close to the finals, but then they still don't get paid what they're worth. They're owed salaries, but the men team wouldn't even get to the next round, but you pay them more, you give them more recognition. Most times they want to recognize men in sports and forget that women are also doing a number of things to get represented. So I feel it's still the same gender parity. How can we be equal? It shouldn't be because it's a man. We are all doing the same thing. When we come to the table, are we delivering the same thing? Are we better off, or are we? So the question is, it's based on deliverables. If I'm going to deliver the same thing, I should get paid. I should get recognized. I shouldn't be thrown to the back burner. Yes, and that's the US team. Same, so also here in Nigeria, you see the female, the falconets, or what are they called? The falconets. Most times they go all the way in competitions, but you literally don't hear anything about them. But when it's the male team on the, board, it's the Super Eagles, the Falcons. No, it shouldn't be. Let's try to put value on the work that is being done, regardless of the gender. So I feel, for even in sports and in all areas of life, is the person delivering, is the person doing what is needed to put the face of the organization, to put the sports in the spotlight. In as much as I can take it all the way to the spotlight, then please let me get recognized.
So Fit Corporate Girl said, women face a lot more persecution in sports. They're always judged on what they're wearing, how they look, and people don't focus on their actual performance. And she mentioned, I don't know if you remember this, who was it? Serena Williams did a match and she was wearing a bodysuit.
Yeah.
And it was a huge issue. And the issue wasn't about how she played or anything. It was that she was wearing a bodysuit. Do you have any more thoughts on this issue?
Okay, it's just the same way. If I bring it back to rape, people say, oh, it was what she wore. How is it what she wore? If you don't like what she's wearing, can you take your eyes off? Because, if you don't like something, then you take your eyes off. Because if something is not attractive to you, you wouldn't look that way. So if you're appalled, look away. So I feel to that question is majority of the individuals who tend to condemn based on clothes, based on dressing, are just saying that as an excuse. Those are just excuses to their bad behavior. They're just excuses to bad behavior. And bad behavior doesn't thrive on excuses. It will never thrive on excuses. You always have a part to play. You can decide what you want to do at a specific time. You can always decide. It's just like now you see a gully. Would you jump into a gully if there's nothing chasing you? You wouldn't. However attractive a gully is, it's just like when you go to Tabletop Mountain. Tabletop Mountain, when you get there, it's beautiful. You can see the seas, you can see everything. But would you jump down? You wouldn't.
Nope.
So why would you take that decision not to jump down, despite the beauty that they are surrounded by? Because one, the fear of death. So, like I always say, if you find a woman in a dress that you're not comfortable with, please look away. Look away. And if you're close to her and you feel it, revealing, you can. There are better ways to pass the communication. There are better ways to pass the message. And say, oh, you would prefer if you wore something because this is not the right place for this or that. But you can't really say, oh, it's because of a dress. It's never about the dress. It's just about the mindset you have at that time, T.
I agree. Coded Fitness says, hello, Rose, and cheers.
Yeah. Hello, Tunde. Hi, Tunde.
Rose, I like the message you're delivering because we really, as society, we really need to take it away from what is it you're wearing and more on our actions and taking responsibility for our actions. And it's also a problem here in South Africa where, for example, a girl can't go to a taxi rank wearing a mini skirt because the taxi drivers find it offensive.
Yeah.
And it goes down to what is the girl wearing? It's her fault if she gets raped, but it shouldn't be about that.
It should never be about the dressing. Okay, I'm going to bring it down to where pedophiles, when a pedophile sleeps with a young child of a year, was it the dress? What was so attractive in that child? There was nothing attractive. So that's why I said it's a mindset thing. You know, most people have been built to think that once you have the ability or you're in that place to be able to suppress another, take advantage of another, and you're fast, you're the smart one. You know, and that's what people thrive on. Oh, I'm smart. I was fast enough to get this done, not get caught.
Yes.
So it's just a deprived mind. It's a deprived mind. It's never about the person. I mean, there are people who are cladded. There are people who are totally cladded from head to toe. Like I would say the Muslims who have their hijabs on. But people they still get ripped. So would you say the lady was exposed? No. You know, you just have a perception. Like I always say, whether you're good or bad, someone's perception still rides over yours. Because you can never change a person's perception about you. You can never. I would always say, this is what I think about you. I've had some people would say, oh, Rose is sweet. But I still have some people who say, oh, no, I'm nasty. Possibly they met me on a very bad day where I wasn't just having it. And I just said my words without caution. Was I sorry I did that? Yes, I did. But have I left an impression? Yes, I have. Am I able to, take turns to change it? I may never have. But one thing I've left with that person is a perception of nastiness. And that's why Maya Angelou said, it's not about what you say to people. It's how you make them feel. And that's what the whole dear through the course of the relationship they have with you. How did you make them feel? So for people who perpetrate this evil, I feel it's just them. Would I say they don't have good values, family values? I wouldn't say so. It's on two divides. Some people don't have good family values, and that's why they, delve into this. And the people who have got fantastic values, but peer pressure. And that's because they want to be moved by peers. Because when people say peer pressure, yes, I know it has a part to play, but you can always decide. The self-will is the will given to you to take decisions at every time T. And to you, there are two consequences. You have the good, you have the bad. You have the you have wonderful, you have distasteful. You'd always have two choices. But then, when you stand at a crossroad, where would you turn to? And if you turn onto the bad streets, it's yours. Like it said, there's a cliche, I don't know who said that. It said, those who wander are not lost. Because really, when you're wandering, sometimes you don't know where you're headed. So every route becomes a route.
I agree with you there. I wanted to touch on our current situation right now because the entire world has been affected by this virus that came out of nowhere. But for you personally, how has it affected you?
Oh, okay. Affecting me, I would say, okay, because I'm a restless being, I love to move. So it has really tied my legs. So I would say that's the only thing that has taken away from me. My ability to move around, my ability to, visit places at my own convenient time. I've had to really be confined to my house because I have to be responsible. Because it's not about me. Yes, I can be at these places, but then am I responsible? So I would say what COVID has also taught me that things that you seemingly thought were impossible to get done within the comfort of your house can be done just with the click of your fingers. Do you understand? And that's going to change a whole lot for businesses. Travel time for employees would reduce. Commuting time would reduce. People found remote working as a luxury. It's no longer a luxury because really people have had to work from home. Like for me, I've been working from home since the last week in March. So this is like the 4th month. And I've delivered. I'm able to still churn out my deliverables without much stress. And even if it's stressful, because it keeps you on, because you're totally, right now, the screen is like your new best friend. And that's one other thing that has affected. Yes, my screen time is way higher than when I had to walk from, a central point, my workplace. And now that I'm having to turn my living room or my bedroom into an active workstation. But beyond that, I feel COVID hasn't been so bad to me in terms of work, even for family. I can make a call. I can still go visiting at specific time. But even prior to when I even visited my family, I had to ensure that I wasn't at risk and I wouldn't be a risk to them.
You've mentioned that you've adapted your life to the new digital way of doing things. What do you think our new normal is going to be as society?
Well, we're already playing in that space, and that's digital. As much as brick and mortar is still essential, there are specific industries that might have to scrap that totally. Some industries would have to scrap out the brick and mortar. So like here in Nigeria, Andela decided to just shut down totally and said, everyone, we're going remote. You understand? And that's a tech organization. But like I said, like for manufacturing plants, that's going to be pretty hard for them to go digital because the blue collar workers would have to still produce whether we like it or not. But for someone like for us in fitness, in as much as organizations and individuals are willing to embrace the digital space, then this is just going to be the best normal for the fitness industry. Yes, you still need the point-to-point because we need, events. So like what we celebrate as one, especially for races that brings a number of us. It's not the same even when you do the virtual. Like I know I ran the virtual 45 kilometer for comrades, but it wasn't the same. You know, you need the camaraderie from other people. You want that same energy, the energy rubbing off from, I mean, other people on you. But our new normal is going to be digital. But traveling is going to be pretty tedious, especially if we have to go in accordance with what the virus is, I mean, putting up to us. We would all have, so travel time, I don't want to say travel time, traveling might have to cease. It has to be pretty important before you decide you want to get onto the airplane, because I don't see myself, I already find it difficult if I have to sit within the airport for so long. Then now, because of this situation, my time is being tripled or doubled, and God bless you that you're in a country where they do not have infrastructure. That means you're just going to waste a whole lot of time. So if you were meant to make your travel days 5 days, you have to put in 2 extra days or 3 extra days just to accommodate situations that could occur. But I feel the new normal is just going to be digital, and it's just for everyone to catch up with this, that technology is coming to take its place fully. If we didn't want to embrace it previously, we really have to embrace it. Because why some businesses folded up is because they didn't have any technological backup.
Yeah.
They didn't have any technological backup. And so it's no longer on paper, it's now in the clouds. So if you're not going to embrace the cloud, then you can't really thrive right now. You can't thrive. So you need to learn how to use the basic thing that we have in our hands, which is the mobile phone.
There's a comment that came through from Luvo. He was talking about the ban on alcohol and it affecting boutique restaurants, which is something
it will.
Yeah. So while we went for groceries, we went to a restaurant and they couldn't sell the alcohol portion of the menu. And a lot of establishments actually make money from selling alcohol to the point where if they can't sell alcohol, they're not going to open. And that affects a lot of jobs. So the South African economy right now is very fragile. And I think this goes for economies around the world.
Well, I feel it's just going to be for a while. Like I would say, I mean, these businesses would have to get onto the negotiating table with the governments, because that's all that can be done at this moment. How do we negotiate and how do we start to turn tables? Are we able to create measures to say these are things that we also need from the government, and the government is also saying these are things we need from you? So even if there are pushbacks, then they have to come to a consensus. But really, these are businesses that already, I mean, provide employment. Shutting them down 100% is shutting down business and also increasing the unemployment rates. And now by increasing the unemployment rate, realize that these individuals will go on the streets, and then you're also going to increase the level or the rate of robbery, whether we like it or not. If I've got nothing, if I have nothing to eat, I mean, I have to be on the street. And if I find someone who seems privileged beyond values, the next thing is I want to strike. So we have to, so I feel the government and everybody, all stakeholders would have to sit on a round table and really resolve the issues at hand. We can't let it lie and just say, oh, they will be all right. It's not about them being all right. It's how do we start to save everyone? Because whether we like it or not, when you feel that this business wins off, something else comes. Realize that if a business that provided about 2% of jobs within a country goes off, now 2% is a large number of 1 million, and that's that specific number on the streets looking out for gainful employment, realizing that there are individuals who were already unemployed. Now these individuals merging with the unemployed group. So now that's rising the numbers. So, and how many jobs are on ground? So it now becomes a situation of demand and supply. The demand for jobs are high, but the supply is low. So it's pretty competitive, and just the best would merit, positions that will be out there.
My next question, so I want to take you back to what I said earlier when I said I watched Chimamanda's videos. And from her videos, from her interviews rather, I could get a sense that for women in Nigeria, there's a lot of pressure for them to get married and to have a man, to be validated. Do you face that pressure that you need to be married for your opinion to be worthy?
No, personally, no.
Okay.
Marriage. For me, my views on marriage is a good thing, in as much as you're with the best person and your friend, someone to call your companion, someone who understands you, someone who is willing to walk the mile, and take the journey with you. So it's a collaboration. Marriage is more like a collaboration. Two imperfect people coming, two people with two different ideologies, family ideologies coming together to say, we're starting something. So marriage shouldn't validate, your success in life. Though it's one of the yardsticks we use here in the country. So the first thing is, oh, you're not married. And people wouldn't want to respect you. Or you know how you're at work and like, what are you using your salary for? You're not married. I'm not married, but there's every possibility I handle more responsibility than someone who is married. There are individuals who are not married, who pay rent for their parents, who pay their rent, who send their, siblings to school, who are sending money to relatives in the village, and they're married people who do nothing but just their family. So really, you can't use marriage as an all-in-all determinant. It's not a total determinant, and I feel it's a choice thing. If someone chooses not to get married, respect it, and if they choose to get married, respect it. It doesn't make you better off than an unmarried person, and an unmarried person isn't better off than a married person. It's just finding what works for you and sticking to the decisions you make. And that's what I know I'll get married, but when it comes, let it come. It's not my all in all. It won't be the all in all.
So
it won't be the all in all.
There's another question from Luvo.
Yeah.
There's a route between Johannesburg and Lagos, and it's a very lucrative route for airlines, but SAA is going through some troubles at the moment. Do you know if there are any talks on how this route can be saved?
Is the flights?
Yes, from Johannesburg to Lagos.
Right now, I know the news says that international flights would start in earnest, but we don't have a date. It would have to come from the government, because really, we can only seek or make requests, but then the government still has a final say on what they would like to do. Because every country right now is pretty everyone is trying to be as cautious as possible, because you do not want a situation whereby you open up routes and all of a sudden the numbers skyrocket within your nation. And if you do not have the resources to even handle those situations, then what happens? So you just open it for monetary gains, but then you lose those funds, because you now have to use way more to keep your citizens safe. So I feel we just have to take this as one of the situations of 2020. It's just a rude shock that we're experiencing it. It's the same way, some of our parents experienced the World War I or World War II, or even the Civil War that happened in Nigeria. But have they lived over it? Yes, they have lived over it. And right now, it's become history, and they have to come telling us those stories. So this is one of the stories we would have to tell our children. in 2020 XYZ happened and this is how we had to. But I feel it's left for the government to take the best decision to this. We can't really say anything because we're not there yet. And you know, it's easy for us to throw stones, but then when the stones get to a family house, are you able to mend the situation that happened? So I feel we just have to sit back and just hope that any decision that would be made by the government of both countries would be to the benefit of all the citizens involved. Yeah.
My last question for you, which isn't really a question, but rather a request. I'd like you to share a message for the women of South Africa for Women's Month.
Okay. Realizing you're a woman, you're bold, you're beautiful, you're strong, you're firm, you wear several caps, and to each cap you have your roles and you have your responsibilities. Just stay beautiful, stay strong, knowing that you are the best person that you can be. No one would ever make you feel inferior except you give them the opportunity to. So be a woman, be strong, and I love you.
I'd like to thank you for joining me tonight. Yo, that was a really stimulating and interesting conversation. You need to have a TED Talk.
Very soon. It's not far. It's not far from now.
You need to. It's very refreshing to have like a conversation about a lot of things because I enjoy that. So I'd like to thank you for joining me tonight.